Waves crash against the jagged rocks, the foghorn wails low and unrelenting. A boat fades into the mist, leaving two men alone on a desolate island. From the very first frame of The Lighthouse, one thing is clear. This is not just a film. It's a fever dream, a psychological storm brewing in the minds of its characters and its audience alike. Robert Eggers, the filmmaker behind The Witch, has a singular vision to craft nightmares rooted in historical authenticity. Here, he plunges into the late 19th century, trapping us alongside two lighthouse keepers, Thomas Wake and Ephraim Winslow, as their reality begins to distort and unravel. The result? A film that is both suffocating and hilarious, grotesque yet poetic. It is a battle of wits, wills and sanity, where isolation doesn't just breed madness, it welcomes it like an old friend. And at the centre of it all are two of the most astonishing performances in modern cinema. Willem Dafoe with his sea-weathered growl and Robert Pattinson with his barely contained desperation bring a rawness to their roles that is as unsettling as it is mesmerising. But what makes The Lighthouse truly extraordinary is its mastery of tension, the way it builds, coils and ultimately explodes into pure chaos. And yet, through all the terror, through all the paranoia, there's something else lurking beneath the surface. A dark, demented kind of humour. Eggers has always been fascinated by folklore and historical accounts, and The Lighthouse is no exception. The film draws inspiration from multiple sources, but one real-life event stands out: the Smalls Lighthouse Tragedy of 1801. Two Welsh lighthouse keepers, both named Thomas, were stationed on an isolated rock when one died in a freak accident. The other, unable to leave, was forced to live with the rotting corpse for weeks. By the time he was rescued, he had gone mad. Eggers takes this concept and warps it, blending it with maritime superstitions and ancient myth. The film is thick with references to Greek mythology, most notably the story of Prometheus. Winslow, whose real name we later learn is Thomas Howard, is the doomed figure who dares to steal fire, or in this case, forbidden light, from the gods, only to suffer a terrible fate. It is these layers of meaning hidden beneath the surface of The Lighthouse that makes it such a rich experience. Every symbol, every line of dialogue, every maddening seagull pecking at the window, it all serves a purpose. Few films in recent memory have relied so heavily on just two actors. Without them, The Lighthouse would crumble under the weight of its own ambition. But with Dafoe and Pattinson at the helm, it transforms into something transcendent. Dafoe, a veteran of daring performances, disappears into the role of Thomas Wake, with his thick, near impenetrable sailor's accent and monologues that feel ripped from the pages of Melville.
Black waves teeming with salt foam, to smother this young mouth with pungent slime.
He commands the screen with a presence both commanding and ridiculous. He is by turns a tyrant and a drunken fool, a wise sailor and a gibbering madman. Pattinson, in contrast, is a tightly wound spring ready to snap. Long gone are the days of Twilight. With films like Good Time and High Life, he's already proven himself as an actor willing to take risks. But The Lighthouse is his most unhinged performance yet. He stumbles through the film with growing paranoia, frustration, and barely restrained violence. And when he finally does snap, laughing maniacally, dancing wildly, howling at the moon, it's both terrifying and darkly comedic. Together they create a volatile chemistry, a relationship teetering on the edge of companionship and outright war. And crucially, they make you laugh. Horror and comedy are two sides of the same coin, both relying on timing, absurdity and the unexpected. The Lighthouse understands this better than most. Eggers doesn't just use humour to relieve tension, he uses it to amplify it. Take for instance the endless bickering over cooking. Wake's fury at Winslow's disdain for his lobster is absurd, yet unsettling. The moment shifts from petty
You don't like me cooking? Oh, don't be such an old bitch!
to hysterical,
I seen it. You're fond of me lobster.
to genuinely menacing in seconds.
Let Neptune strike ye dead, Winslow! Hark!
The audience is left off balance, unsure whether to laugh or hold the breath. Or the drunken revelry as the two men lose themselves to alcohol and isolation. Their antics grow increasingly ridiculous. They dance, they hug, they nearly kiss. Then as suddenly as the laughter begins, it turns violent. It is this unpredictability that makes The Lighthouse so nerve-wracking. You never know when a joke will become a threat, when laughter will morph into horror. It is a film that toys with its audience, keeping them in a constant state of unease. Winslow's obsession with the forbidden light is the film's driving force. Waite guards it jealously, speaking of its power in a near-religious reverence. Winslow, denied access, grows increasingly desperate. The light becomes more than just illumination. It is knowledge, salvation, and damnation. When he finally reaches it, the film reaches its climax. He peers into the light, and in that moment, something happens. Something beyond explanation. He screams, laughing and wailing as the screen distorts into pure surrealism. And then... the final image, Winslow, naked and broken, being picked apart by seagulls. A direct callback to Prometheus, doomed to eternal torment for his defiance. Shot in stark black and white, using a square aspect ratio that feels claustrophobic and old world, The Lighthouse is a visual feast. Every frame is meticulously composed, drawing inspiration from early cinema, maritime paintings and vintage photography. The film was met with near universal acclaim. Critics hailed it as a triumph of atmosphere and performance. It was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Cinematography. Pattinson and Dafoe received widespread praise, with many calling their performances career-defining. And yet, despite all its accolades, The Lighthouse remains divisive. Some find it too strange, too opaque. But for those willing to embrace the madness, it is an unforgettable experience. The Lighthouse is not just a horror film. It is an odyssey into the depths of the human psyche, a battle of dominance, a meditation on isolation, a surreal mythic nightmare wrapped in fart jokes and existential dread. It is, in short, a masterpiece of tension, one that leaves you laughing, cringing and questioning everything you just witnessed. And when the film finally finishes, one thing is certain: you will never look at a seagull the same way again.